GLAM, Los Angeles.
Hi, Kirbie. Hi, Sara. Welcome to Los Angeles.
As a native Texan, it's my honor and privilege to have Victoria Kalina on the podcast right now. Okay, if you have not watched America's Sweethearts, the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders show on Netflix,
what are you
by
doing?
The way, what are you doing? But I watched the OG on CMT, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you, like, I actually want to ask you a little bit about this, Victoria, because there are some glaring differences between the two. But first of all, welcome to Los Angeles. We are literally so excited. We're giddy. We're so
Wait,
giddy.
I have to ask you, did you prefer CMT or America's Sweethearts?
Okay, it's hard because I felt like CMT, even though we got a good look at what happened during Netflix was a little bit more glitzy. I loved the way it was shot. I thought it was so cinematic. I thought, like, I cried a lot during the Netflix stuff, like the series.
Me too.
Yeah, clearly.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
But like, it felt very big and very emotional and very cinematic. But I felt like there were things. Well, let's just get right into it. Like, honestly, when I see the conversation online about Kelli and Judy being mean in the Netflix documentary and people are like, they're horrible, I'm like, y'all don't even know. Like, you didn't like, this is like child's play compared to what you see on CMT. And like, clips are starting to come up on TikTok now where they're like, oh my God, they were ruthless in the CMT show. I'm like
back in like 2008?
Yes.
There were no filters.
Absolutely not. Like, you were like dumbfounded.
It was like America's Next Top Model level of comments.
Yes. We had Janice Dickinson and Simon Cowell and then Kelli and Judy. Like, literally, like, we are prepared. We were prepared for them. You know what I mean? So the fact that everyone's like all up in arms about the Netflix series, yeah, there was plenty of things that I was like, God, I cannot believe that like this is still a thing. But I was like, this is nothing, in my opinion, that they're showing on Netflix compared to what they showed on CMT.
So great. I need to watch. I've seen some of the clips and my jaw is literally on the ground.
Like, what are the differences to you, Victoria? Like, when you watch Netflix compared to, like, you know, you were on the CMT show, like what do you, when you're watching as like a person who lived it, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I honestly love that Netflix allows you to like dive into our journey throughout the whole season as a DCC, and you get to see exactly like what an appearance looks like. Because in CMT, it was just the audition process from new girls, rookies who are just people, then getting the uniform. And now you get to see like that whole process, plus adding into you get to see Christmas show, you get to see Thanksgiving halftime come together. And I think that is super spectacular. However, I kind of do miss the intensity of those office calls. I mean, granted, I got called in like 6 times. I didn't love it for myself at the time, but I think just like waiting for your friends, like we don't do that anymore now because office visits happen during rehearsal time and they happen very nonchalantly. Whereas CMT, like it was, you knew drama, that intensity of like, who's going in tonight? And then we would all wait until say 2 a.m. waiting for the girls to be released. So I do kind of miss that aspect of like drama. But I think overall, like Netflix is just so beautifully written, like in our story.
Whatever the Thanksgiving episode was, I was on my Instagram stories like, this episode has everything. Dolly Parton, like a man touching a cheerleader inappropriately, like James having a stroke. Yeah, like it was everything. Oh my gosh, all of it.
Before we jump into more BTS, we need to ask you, Victoria, we ask every guest on the podcast, what is on your face? We need to know what you're currently obsessed with beauty-wise. Like, you're gorgeous. What are you using? What are you loving?
I will never stray from one, since I dance I'm just like on the go, especially in this New York concrete jungle heat. It is different than I thought I knew heat living in Texas, but this is different, especially walking all over the place. I'm just sweating outside when I'm walking. I'm sweating in dance class. I'm sweating back on my way home. And I swear by my setting spray. It's Toothpaste Hangover RX, the 3-in-1. No one can change me from that. And then I'm also loving, I actually randomly have it because I literally have 4 of these because I have them in every single one of my bags. It's my lip combo. It's just a natural mauve color from Tarte Maracuja lip liner. I just have that on with this Juicy Tube gloss from Lancome. Swear by these. That's all I have.
Those are legit. That is good. We love
And
it.
like,
Juicy tubes, throwing it back.
seriously, like get one of these little mini tubes, put them in your little wristlet, in your fanny pack, whatever you need, right here.
Okay, wait, I have to ask you, your teeth are literally so white. Do you get your teeth bleached or do you do like Crest white strips? Like, how are your teeth so white?
I use Crest white strips, but not all the time. So I use Crest Brilliant White toothpaste. I also think the tip is I love Celsius. And if I ever have if I ever have a soda, people, you do not need to drink from the bottle or the can. You need to drink through a straw.
You don't drink coffee? You're just
No.
a Celsius girl?
But if I do drink coffee, it's with a straw because I don't want all that stain like sipping on it.
You are a dentist dream. That
Seriously.
is the Dentist Association of America is like, thank you, Victoria. Drink from a straw if you're going to drink something that's colored. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about America's Sweethearts. How long do you film for a show that has 7 episodes? And what were your initial reactions to watching it? Did you think, okay, this is me and I feel like I'm accurately portrayed? Or were there some things that you thought, this was embellished a little bit, or this definitely was a storyline that was not something I thought was real?
So the filming process was very different because with CMT, they were there the whole summer. But with Netflix, they would come in for 2 weeks. So either 2 weeks or 10 days within like a month. And then they would come for that allotted time. And then they would be off and away from us for 4 to 6 weeks. And then they would come back. So it was very sporadic and not consistent, which at first was very hard to adapt to because we would get super close within those 10 days, 2 weeks, and then they would be away from us. And we were like, oh, well, our relationship kind of like, it's just kind of like you build it and then it's going back, but you're not best friends yet. So it's not like you still can just start off where you ended. So having to like restart where we led off was kind of hard at first. Just like in the opening sense and being like who we were. So that was very different from CMT. But I honestly loved it because it was nice not to always have a camera in your face and like always be filmed. I struggled so much in like that feeling alone sense. Like it was so heavy throughout like my whole process and career of DCC. Like I just never felt like I clicked or fit in. And I always would come home and talk about it with my mom. And I'd be like, Mom, I think it's me. I think it's just in my head. Like, I don't know. But I think with the cameras picking it up, it like helped validate that like feeling that I wasn't just like going crazy. And it was noticeable to other people and not just myself.
Did you know that you were going to be like one of the stars?
No, not at first. Whenever we found out that Netflix was filming a show over us, I was like, okay, my goal is just going to be like completely me, completely who I am, and not put on like a filming front and like a film filter. And I think just this is like the biggest advice and biggest realization I've hit is that like being your real true self will connect to so many other people rather than portraying something that you might think needs to be portrayed. And I think that really hit with the crew, the producer, Greg Whiteley. And we have a great connection like to this day. And I think that kind of helped him find his star, if you want to say that. But I just wanted it to be me, and I think that they really appreciated that.
And then sorry, Kirbie, I know we have like a million questions. I'm just so
I
many.
have all the time today, so
Okay,
you can
perfect.
take your time.
Amazing. Where did you watch it when it came out? Like, and who were you with?
We got previewed, the whole team did. We watched episodes 1 and 2. We got to preview them before the drop date. However, I was so just like distraught in watching episode 1 with the team, especially. I don't know if y'all got this, but in my opinion, it very much seemed like I was on the chopping block of coming back to the team. And I think seeing that, because I thought I gave my whole self like out on the dance floor, out on the field during my audition, and just having that like hearing those comments of what they thought, I was like, oh, I cannot sit through this anymore. So I actually walked up and left, and I didn't stay for episode 2. I was like, I want to watch this in the privacy of my own home.
Oh, so they had a screening. Like they had a screening with the team?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, I did get that. And I thought that was interesting because they made it was more during your solo that they made it feel that way. And then on the field, it was like, you're great. Like there was like no, I felt like criticism at all.
There was one comment where I don't know whether it was Kelli who initiated it or Judy, and one of them said, well, Victoria looks better. And then someone says, well, does she? Yes.
Oh my God. It's stuff like that where you're like, shit.
Also, this just gave me bad PTSD because in my first audition on CMT, Scott Paget, he was not a fan of mine. And he was in the deliberation room also on this episode 1, and he seemed like he wasn't really rooting for me. So I was just like, oh my goodness, I thought I did like great in my audition. So I think just hearing that they didn't think that, I was just like, I don't want to watch anymore.
Remind people, Scott is who again? He's like
He's the local weatherman, yes. Which love him. And he has an eye, because obviously he wouldn't be on the DCC panel. But I was just like, man, like, I just hate not people liking me, but just like, especially after having 4 years with them, like you just want to hopefully have that, not step, but step above people.
At this point, by the time you saw the show, you had already decided you were done, right?
Yes.
Did the rest of the team, did they know that you were done?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Okay, so they did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were aware that you were it wasn't like a big surprise when they watched the episode.
No. It was a surprise, however, just like when I had made that final decision, it was a surprise to them because they thought, oh, Victoria, she's like born in, like, this is her whole life. She's going to automatically do 5 years. So it was a shock to everybody when I did finally decide to hang it up and switched my answer.
It was a stay. You walk out and you were like hanging up your pom-poms. I literally gasped out loud by myself in my room. I was like, oh, Victoria. I was shook, but then I was like, yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Yes. We love this.
I think that's how a lot of us felt. We were like, yes, girl. Move to New York.
It's because when I think it was Kat, or I can't remember who it was, but it was someone that was like, Victoria was thriving when she took that year off.
That was
like
Kat.
She was happy. Okay. And I loved Kat. And she was thriving. She was happy. And she was like meeting boys and like living her absolute best life. And I'm like, clearly there's something in this group, which I'm not like, talking badly about any of the girls, but there was something about like DCC as a whole that was like hindering you in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that?
I do. And I think with DCC, I think it consumes us so heavily where we kind of forget, in a sense of, we always say, I say this in the trailer, like we always say, don't let it define us. But in a sense, doesn't it? And I think when you're in it, it really does like consume you, define you. And so you do have that hard time of like being a human.
Is there something that you watched where you were like, okay, I think that was like portrayed like poorly, not even just of you, but about like the program, or like about cheerleading in general? I think for me personally, like I had no idea like the intensity of the program or like what you had to go through to be a cheerleader. And I feel like I learned that. And so many have. But now all these articles are coming out, people are commenting and, sharing their opinions. Is there anything where you're like, okay, they still don't understand that or they have gotten that wrong?
I wouldn't say gotten wrong. I think, like I said, kind of how the filming process was, they only saw certain windows of time with us. And just like for my story, I didn't feel, or I wasn't, I mean, a loner. I mean, I wasn't unconnected the entire time of my experience. Like when I did go on appearances with other girls, like we did connect. Like I did talk to them just because that was a connection time. So there were some points where they didn't see that connection. However, those moments obviously didn't overweigh what they did saw, because that was a lot of the time too. I wish, however, they did kind of mix the two a little bit, but again, they just caught on to what they saw was prominent.
I need you to clear the air on something.
Okay.
Because we saw you on Kate's podcast.
Yes.
And there was the conversation around the birthday.
Yes.
Okay. And then there were a bunch of comments from other DCC.
Yes.
Kind of coming back and saying, if we would have known, we would have been there for you. What happened with the birthday?
Okay. So my birthday fell on a Friday, and we originally had practice scheduled for that evening. We didn't know until the night before that we were going to have off. I was already scheduled for an appearance on my birthday, and Netflix was in town, obviously, because they were there, they filmed it. I didn't really know what the game plan was for this filming situation. So they were there filming my appearance. And then they were like, we're going to come over tonight, celebrate your birthday with you. We want to film it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like it's all decked out. My mom decorates every single year. Like that's just her. Super extra. I'm the only girl in the family, so she loves doing all of that. But even with the boys, she's like that too. And I was like, cool. So I spread it around through the appearance. I was like, hey, Netflix is going to come. Like, that'd be weird, I think, if it was just me and mom. If y'all want to come over, there's cake. We can just like hang out. But I don't think it got trickled around to the team. And I didn't want to like, I always feel like sometimes my comments or words don't get like processed. I think I said that in Kate's podcast as well. Like, I feel like sometimes whenever I say something, it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. It doesn't really like soak in. And I think some people just like didn't think too much of it because they probably had other plans to do, especially that night. But I do think if I had sent out like, hey, everybody, like come over, they definitely would have been there, because we do, a lot of the comments did say they take birthdays very seriously. But I don't know if I truly believe that, honestly. But I don't know. We'll never know because I didn't send out the invite.
Well, it's really interesting because the comments, so there's like obviously now videos of the comments on that video that are like, here are all the DCCs saying like, really disappointed in this take, would have loved, if we would have known, we would have been there. We obviously take birthdays very seriously at DCC. But then there are other videos, which I have seen in my feed, that are like, I believe Victoria, because all of them coming out and saying all of this against her makes me feel like it's like this group versus individual mentality. So like clearly if she's telling people that this is happening and then nobody shows up, that is a problem in of itself. So I was like, okay, I want Victoria to clear the air on what happened, because like that video just took off, and then it became the whole, it was like the birthday drama.
Right.
It was like DCC versus Victoria and what she said versus what they said.
Well, and okay, I also think at this point, so my birthday was in October, and at that point, Netflix had probably filmed, they were there for a lot of training camp. They were probably there for like 3 filming segments. And at that point, you obviously know how CMT was filmed, like very dramatic, very just like, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I think a lot of girls were hesitant in taking this next like filming opportunity, just because we didn't know really how it would play out. We didn't know if it was going to be like CMT. And so I think at that point when my birthday was around, I think I don't know. This is just my guess. I think some girls maybe were still a little bit hesitant in like being around the cameras and being filmed.
That makes sense.
Because I even know, like, whenever I was mic'd in practice, it was just like, oh, like,
Yeah, different.
people were just kind of like wigged out whenever they were around someone who was mic'd.
Yeah, because you don't want anything that you don't want publicized out there. You know?
So I mean,
Like,
I don't
you
know
wanna-
if that maybe had a play in it too. Which, I mean, I get that too. I mean, I was hesitant at first, but I just wanted to go in like, this is me, this is who I am. But I get that it like takes a little bit longer for other people to kind of like warm up to that process.
Another big conversation that's being had on the internets is about salary and what you guys were all paid and how incredibly low paying it is to be like, you guys are working your butts off. I saw this like Instagram post that was like, the water boys made more than the cheerleaders. Like, everyone is up in arms. Understandably.
they didn't really even highlight like the intensity that your bodies go through. Like, I mean, with the exception of Anna Kate's sister, who literally like had to have hip surgery or something, like something
and
insane.
2 feet surgeries.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, insane.
That is, and y'all don't get health insurance or anything through DCC. That's not something that's offered. Yeah, that's like criminal in my opinion.
I know, even though like practice is only from say 7 to 9, 7 to 10. I mean, I know I still plan like my whole day, like wanting to make sure that I got to the gym and then getting ready, getting my hair done, getting my makeup done before like going into the practice. So there is a lot of like outside work that also has to be done to maintain the job and make it look good.
They expected you to be like in full glam for practice?
No, we had a little bit more leeway, but my mom, growing up in the 80s, she kind of, and I just wanted to like always exceed those DCC expectations. Not exceed. There were like CMT days, you had to come full glam every practice. Like, it didn't start really until probably after COVID, where that rule kind of got a little bit, it wasn't so here, though you rounded the rules a little bit. But I just always wanted to be ready, because I never knew if Charlotte were to walk in, Jerry were to walk in, you just never knew who was going to show up to practice that night.
Yeah. So Charlotte's getting a lot of flack because of the comments made about salary. How do you feel? Like do you feel like you all deserve a raise? I mean, I think you all do. I think I'm sure you do too. But like, when you were getting paid, did you feel like you were getting paid fairly?
That's such a hard question, because we do a lot, but I don't think what I think a lot of people are hyper focused on is the amount that we got paid, and they don't realize like that's such huge progress in like what it used to be. Like back in the 80s when my mom cheered, it was nothing. So it is slowly progressing, and even though we might not get that big paycheck number, we get our hair sponsored, so we don't have to pay for our hair treatments. We get sponsored for tans, so we get our spray tans and our tanning all paid for. And
Love that.
yes, so like there is other like things that
Perks.
yes, that I think some people don't really like enhance that on, and it is slowly transitioning to where we do see that pay going. I just don't think it's where we all would like to see it at, but it is slowly getting there.
Totally.
I feel like this show will help kind of move the
Mhm.
needle on that particular point
Yeah.
because they're also kind of holding a mirror up to the administration, being like, y'all are making millions of dollars off of like this group of people.
Mhm.
They put their bodies through hell just like a football player would. Like they deserve at least to have enough money so that they're not like spreading themselves so thin, and also like being able to like provide long term for their health. I mean, like a lot of these women are going through surgeries for years after they leave the
Mhm.
team.
A lot of them have full-time jobs and then are
Yes.
having to like come to practice after. Like it's
Yes.
actually so nuts. I think it might have been Kat's video, but I also saw that like you hit the max salary cap at 5 years, and like that's sometimes why girls don't try out the next year. Is that the reason why? Do they set a limit? Like it's like you can only be DCC for 5 years?
No, but everyone asks this, and I don't even know how to explain it. But if you hit that 5-year mark, because I would say average year for a DCC is like 2 to 3. Like that is average. So hitting that 5-year mark, there is something special where you get a little DCC charm. But other than that, like that's it, really. Other than that, I don't see like why people would either stay that long or then come back. So that's like the special 5-year thing.
It's like being like a senior in high school and then you like want to come back for like another year. You don't really do that.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But is there a salary cap? Like, is there a cap on how much you can make? So, like, after like your 5th year, you can't make more than a certain amount, or is that just something that's been fabricated?
I don't know. I think that might be fabricated because there haven't been a lot of upper 5
I see.
longer girls who have been there for 5 years. So I think they need to kind of figure out what's after that. I think the known thing is the 5-year mark, but like Shondi, she is a rookie sister of mine. She's coming back for her 6th year. So I think they'll be trying to figure it out and it'll look different. So I don't know. I think just people hear a lot about the 5-year.
Uh-huh. What's the longest running career for a DCC? Do you know?
Oh, that I don't know. But my older sis, Sydney Durso, she cheered for 6 years.
I want to go now. We're going to take a left turn into the DCC beauty look.
Okay.
Were there any rules you had to follow? Like, I think of DCCs very similarly to a sorority, or even just like moving out to LA, like, and wanting to be on TV as a TV host. Like, there are certain parameters based on where you go to audition. Like, some people want you to look full glam, some people want you to look more natural.
Mm-hmm.
What was the DCC look, and what were the do's and the don'ts?
So do not have, you only had to have natural nails and or French tips. So this is very extreme.
The red nails.
Yes. So very much a neutral nail, just because like when we're on an appearance, we're signing autographs or photographs. We don't want anything to stand out besides obviously like the uniform. We also, I think, finding that like DCC look glam wise and with like your makeup and your hair, that's what is so imperative about the rookie makeovers, because they do have a makeup artist on set on that day, and they also will have the hairstylist color your hair if need be and cut it and style it the way that they would like to see it on game days. And from then on point, it's your job to maintain that look that they set on you.
I'm curious about your nail color. For your neutral nails, did you have a specific combo or a specific shade that you gravitated towards?
Okay, I didn't. My nail salon back in Texas had so many different shades of light pink, that I would pick probably a different one every single time. And then on like fancy occasions, like during Christmas or for our banquets, I would always do French.
Amazing. Okay, let's talk about the makeovers for a little bit. This was like such a fun part of the show to watch. But like, did you have to go with what they picked for you? Like, what if you didn't like it? Like, I can't remember her name, but one of the girls, they made her brunette, and I just didn't feel like it.
Kelli.
Yes, I didn't feel like it was the
Kelli.
right shade of brunette for her. And like, I mean, she was like excited about it, but like, you know what I mean? Like, do you have
Mhm.
to go by what they suggest, or can you push back a little bit and be like, I just really identify as a blonde?
See, and that's the thing about like DCC world is in other jobs, you totally could push back, but with them, not so much. And that's another thing. Like, we're all just like trying to get this job. We're all trying to please Kelli and Judy. We don't want to say anything that could take that place away from the team and like from us. So, no, you need to go with what they are saying and what they would like.
When you got your makeover, what was that like?
Well, I knew what the DCC look was, and I had slowly started to highlight my hair. I think my makeover day, I had 12 foils in because I had just gotten my hair highlighted. So they didn't need to do too much.
Yeah, they're like, you walked in and we got it. So
Yeah.
we're just going to touch up. It was a touch up.
It was a touch up.
Did your mom warn you of anything like, okay, honey, no under eyeliner, or like your brows need to be waxed or something? Like, your mom obviously knows so much. Did she give you any advice on the makeover?
No, because it's changed so much. Like, she had a perm whenever she was a cheerleader. She got to wear red nails. So it's a whole 180 from back in the 80s.
I want to now pivot to your mental health. So I thought one of the most like poignant parts of the show was you talking about your mental health and your body image, and just like trying to separate Victoria from this like DCC ideal. How are you doing now? Are you okay? Do you, like, having watched the entire show, do you feel content, or like, I would love to just get a little check-in with Victoria. How are you doing?
I'm honestly doing really, really good. And I feel like the show, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in that episode where I kind of like do my whole just like get real with Victoria talk, I honestly say like, okay, I haven't told anyone this, but I'm just going to tell you, like, this is what I struggle with. I think that's how I word it in the episode. And I think that was the honest to goodness therapeutic release that I needed to open it up, because it is such a huge part in like who I am and like what I struggle with. And I think having, again, that filter of closing it off and pretending like it's not there is so much harder and more exhausting than just being open and showing them that that's a part of who I am.
I love that. I love that you were able to really put yourself out there. I think it really, like, those moments in the show from yourself and from some of the other girls really, I think, made the show, because otherwise it could have just been this like really frilly, really superficial, really juicy show to watch about like the cutthroat life of being a cheerleader. But then you're really able to like feel the emotions, and like you become so invested in each of the people that you're seeing on the screen because of that. So like Sarah and I were texting the whole time. Like, I started it last Friday or 2 Fridays ago. I was a little late to the game, and because she had already seen the whole thing, and I binged it like pretty quickly. And I was just like, Victoria girl, like, we are rooting for Victoria. We love her. And like, there's so many special people on that show, but like, you definitely shined.
Thank you.
I need to ask this, and I'm coming at it from a place of where I just like can't wrap my head around it. So that final episode with Kelli and Judy was like such a hard watch to see just how they were even responding to you in certain aspects. Like, they were giving you nothing. Like, you were really laying it out there and like showing your true self. Judy saying that she's like, oh, I'm surprised you would even want a leadership role. Like, it felt like such a slap in the face. And then Kelli even being like, where's all this coming from? I was shocked in the way that they were responding to you, especially because Kelli and your mom are so close. And not that I think that you should have had special treatment from Kelli because of that, but I do think if it were me, I would have been a little bit more tender and careful for somebody that I've known since they were born.
It felt like it was like gaslighting almost.
Yeah, it felt very gaslighty. So are your mom and Kelli still close? For me personally, if I was a mom watching that, I would have a really hard time maintaining a closeness with someone that treated my child that way.
I think that was probably the most difficult thing for my mom to like hear about. She refuses to watch that episode and watch that part of the show just because I think she's still processing of what we've been through and what I went through personally. And like we had planned, like I said, I had wanted to say yes, like I had full intentions of going back for that 5th year. And so me and my mom, we had a whole year to plan, kind of like finalize like our mom and daughter living together before I'm off to New York. Like we had a whole year, and having that just like sped up to now, this was slammed right in front of our face, putting this into a halt and speeding up our whole timeline has just been like a huge kind of bomb drop in our life, and still kind of is. We're still adjusting. So I think mom is just going to need to take some time to process and not get over it, but settle it before maybe that friendship relights. Not that it's gone. I think it just has really hurt a vessel in mom where it's going to need to heal, and she's going to need to take that time.
And you haven't connected with Kelli or Judy or like since the show, or have you spoken to them?
I haven't spoken to them in person. They did text me saying like best of luck in New York. And also I'm not allowed to teach Thunder for the TikTok, but that's okay.
No, damn it. Come on.
I know.
Be serious.
Change it a little bit.
This only would have helped them. Be freaking serious. Oh my God. Well, can you just like teach us Thunder? Send us a private video.
No,
so we can attempt it and send it back to you.
No, but like how does it feel honestly to like open up your TikTok and it's just like watching all these videos of girls like attempting to do the dance and like so inspired by you?
It is awesome. Like whenever Netflix announced that they were filming this, I was like, this is kind of silly. Like this has been there, done that with CMT. Like this is not gonna do anything. And so the reach that it's hit and just like the effect that it's had is incredible. And just like, I'm honestly mind blown about it.
Isn't it crazy how Netflix can just take something and run with it? Like, remember that show, You, with Penn Badgley?
Yes!
It was on Lifetime.
Love.
It was a Lifetime show, and it got canceled at Lifetime. They picked it up and put it on Netflix for season 2, and now it's in its 5th season. I mean, it really does have this amazing effect. So kudos to Netflix.
Kudos to Netflix. And honestly, the vision behind the camera crew, the producers, and specifically this show, like I give them all the kudos. And if you were to have them here on like interviewing with us today, they would all say no, like it is all thanks to y'all. Like we just captured what we saw and what we felt with y'all, but what they saw and like had in mind, like I give all the kudos in how this but in how this docuseries has just like the what word am I looking for?
I mean, they're just brilliant. Like the storytelling, the character development. I mean, when like they're the same team that did Cheer, and I was obsessed with like, and like my husband also, you know, it's like everyone is obsessed no matter what. Like when we were watching this show, like my sisters, my nieces, Matt watched it with me. Like we were all like so like upset. Like, okay, we have to watch one more episode and then we're going to bed. We're like, Okay, 10 more minutes and then we're going to bed. We have to like keep watching it. Just like it humanized all of you in a way that made it relatable, even though I've never cheered in my life, you know? And it was just it was just really, yeah, so well done.
We're
So
gonna
well
see
done.
so many DCC outfits for Halloween this year.
Oh,
Like it
you
is,
can bet on
yeah.
it.
I'm like, I gotta figure out what I'm doing here so I can be a DCC. Like I will be messaging you for tips.
You can get Dolly's little, I want hers with the little
Oh
bodysuit
yes, the
with the
sparkle.
star belly button.
So cute.
I need that. I need that.
The very last episode at the end after the banquet and like rendition of Girls Just Want to Have Fun starts playing, I was literally like tears streaming down my face. It really just speaks to how they made it feel so epic and they made it feel so cinematic. And I really think it was such a great way to platform everything that a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader does. It's not just like looking cute and like going out there like once a week. It's like blood, sweat, and tears, baby. And then like maybe some people giving you some really harsh criticism that you didn't want to hear.
Yes.
So Victoria, we all know you're in New York, living your best life. There's some people who are like, is she going to try out for the Rockettes? Tell us what are your plans?
My plan is that's what I'm ultimately here to strive for, is they have auditions in the spring. So my goal is to just keep training, keep that train chugging along, and audition for the Rockettes. And they have auditions usually in the April time. So that's my plan. And I wanted to just get here as soon as possible to get, one, acclimated to the city, but two, the Rockette style is so obviously precise, like more so rather than dancing on a team in a football field. Like they are so iconic with how their precision base is. And that is a genre in itself. And obviously there's no classes like that in the DFW area. So I just wanted to get up here so I could really train and hone in on that style.
We're so excited for you.
But I went to the Great Gatsby, and if you are ever in New York and need to see it, I will see it again. Like I could see that every single night. It was unbelievable. But I'm just like, man, Broadway would be kind of fun too. So I think I'm honestly leading up to the audition, seeing how that goes. I'm going to just audition for anything and everything because I know my heart and my dancer self is solely set on Rockettes, but I might fall in love with something else. I just don't know. So this girl's going to be open for anything that is thrown her way.
Yes. We love that. We love that.
As you should. As you should. I hope that you take every opportunity that you can. That's so important. Before we let you go, we want to know, as Victoria, a dancer, what are 3 things you would never do in terms of, it could be beauty or it could just be your life? Like 3 things you would never do to preserve yourself as a dancer.
Okay. 1, this is personally just for me, and I think it's so funny. I will never, ever get a pedicure. Never. And that is because I have dancer feet, and I do not need them commenting on my nasty toes, on my toenails. I don't need them messing up my calluses. So that is one thing I will never do. When my dance career is over is when I will get my pedicure. And they can scrape all that off.
I love that you're like, calluses important. That's one thing that people don't think about. Calluses are important for dancers.
They are so important. Okay, that's one. I might have to think about these. This kind of contradicts myself because I love big hair, obviously growing up in DCC world, but I think now I will never tease my hair again unless like needed for a show. So I think now as a dancer, like my go-to hairstyle is going to be kind of natural ponytails, buns, French twists, all the things. So I think it's going to take a very special occasion for me to get back into that big Texas hair.
Ooh, sleek, more editorial.
Yes.
Okay.
Sleek and chic.
Victoria 2.0, ladies
Exactly.
and gentlemen. Okay.
Exactly. And then, okay, 3, one more thing that I would never do. Okay, here's another one. Again, it contradicts my DCC self. I don't think I will ever worry about like tanning. I'm going to be completely confidently pale from here on out unless I go and vacation in Mexico again. I think I'm going to just bathe in my paleness.
I love that. You're like embracing your own self.
Exactly.
Wow.
I mean, it couldn't be me. I'm addicted to my self tanner. I pry it out of my cold, dead hands.
And I need a
I don't
pedicure
think I can.
every 2 weeks, but I'm not a dancer. I don't need my calluses.
But like ballerinas, they have that beautiful like snow white pale skin because like I read this in an article once, like professional ballerinas are not allowed to even tan because then they would get like tan lines from their leotards or like their costumes. You would see their tan lines, whether it be from their halter bikini or whatnot. So I'm just like, I love that. Like I am entering like a different, like my Trina dancer era. So
ugh.
all the habits for the DCC are probably what I'm
Gone.
not going to do
Everything's
anymore.
been
We're done.
retired. All of the things have been retired. DCC has been retired for Victoria. It's gone but not forgotten. We have been had so
icon.
much fun talking to you. Thank you for spending time with us, going through all of that. That was fascinating. I loved every second of it. Where can everybody find you and follow you online?
Online, I've got all the social medias. They can follow me on Instagram at Victoria Kalina. On TikTok, I have Mental Health Monday little videos every week. They can find me there on Victoria Kalina 5678. Or on YouTube, I started my own channel too. You can either search up Victoria Kalina or XOXO Victoria 5678.
And listen, I know that you're focused on dance right now, but I think you could be like a really good lead for The Bachelorette. Just throwing it out there.
I would love that.
ABC, give her a call.
That would be amazing.
Please. Or my dream also would be Dancing with the Stars.
Oh,
duh,
that's a given. That's a given.
Yeah.
You're on next season, right? Like that's like it has to be.
They would be so dumb.
So
They would be
stupid.
so
Oh my
dumb.
goodness. But I don't know. Would they do that like with me having a dance background?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
they
Heather
do.
Morris from Glee, she's a professional dancer. She toured with Beyonce and she was on the show and people were irate that she got kicked off like within this third or fourth week because she was like clearly the best and everybody was obsessed with her. So
No, you have to be on it.
yeah, we're manifesting that. I cannot
Okay.
wait. And then Sarah and I will come
Look,
see
I've got my
Yes.
stars on.
I'll see.
Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the
Because
Stars
it's like
with
you
Victoria.
have to have someone that knows what they're doing. Otherwise, it's like not that fun to watch if like everyone's a newbie, you know?
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
agree.
exactly.
Watch you go from like Dancing with the Stars contestant to like Dancing with the Stars
Judge.
winner to Dancing with the Stars dancer, like teaching.
Oh, dancer.
that
yeah.
That would be, I do love me some ballroom.
Girl.
Okay.
We
Well,
can
we
get it.
Wow. Well, okay. I want to be on this podcast again, please. Y'all
You
are
will.
awesome.
also, Victoria, you're so young and you have so much life to like. This is only the beginning for you.
We're so excited for you, girl. We cannot wait to see
Thank
what you
you.
do, especially in New York. And
Come
thank
visit us
you.
in LA.
Yeah, come visit.
Yes, I love LA. I love LA. I've gotten asked, a lot of people have asked me as well, saying like, well, why the East Coast and not the West Coast? And I'm just like, you never know.
Never know. Dancing with the Stars. Okay.